So in this next Excel tutorial video, we're just going to continue using the table that we developed in video number 2. So this is video number 3 in our sequence. We're just going to continue on with learning a little bit more about some of the functions that Excel is used for, and like I said, we're just going to continue with our customer receivables table. So sometimes when you have a table like this, you want to add or delete different pieces of information or insert whole new columns or rows because you have additional data that you want to include. And so what we're going to first do is insert a new column. So I want to have a brand new column that's going to be between the current columns B and C. So in between the total receivable amount and the overdue 30 days amount, I want to add a new column. So what I'm going to do is tap on the column C heading, and a menu comes up, and you can see that one of the items on the menu is insert, and that's what I want to select. And what it's going to do is create a new column directly to the left of the column that I clicked on. So I clicked on column C because I want to create a column directly to its left. So if I click insert, you see what happens. Not only is a new column created, but because our heading was covered over the entire table, that heading was now expanded to also cover over all 5 now of the columns instead of just 4. So now we've created a new column C, and what used to be in column C is now in D, and what used to be in column D is now an E. And what we're going to do in this brand new column is we're going to title it current amount. And what we're doing here is we're establishing a dollar amount that represents the amount of receivable that the customer currently owes to us. So it's not overdue, it's something that they owe right now, and we're waiting for them to pay us within the time period that we had established with them. So again, this is not something that's overdue, it's an amount that they currently owe. So let's talk about customer number 1. If customer number 1 owes us a total of $250, and of that total, 50 of it is 30 days overdue, 0 of it is 60 days overdue, we can then use a formula in our new column for current amount that will take the total receivable, subtract the overdue 30-day amount, and then subtract the overdue 60-day amount. And the way that we do that, typically when we're talking about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division formulas, the easiest way to start is just equals. So I tapped on cell C3, I hit equals on my key bar, and then what I want to do is I want to tell Excel what do I want it to add and subtract. In this case, I want to take total receivable, the $250, so I'm going to tap on cell B3, $250, and I want to subtract, so I'm going to hit minus. I want it to subtract the $50 over 30-day amount. And then I'm going to click up in my formula bar and I want it to subtract again the overdue 60-day amount. So again, all I'm doing is telling Excel what do I want it to do. I want it to take the total receivable amount in column B, subtract out the overdue 30-day amount, and subtract out the overdue 60-day amount. And now you may be asking, why would we be subtracting the overdue 60-day amount? Because for customer number 1, it's 0. So there really is nothing that we would be subtracting. But the reason why I'm doing that is because now, once I have entered this one formula, I don't have to re-enter it 9 more times for all of the other customers. All I'll have to do is copy and paste it, because every time what it will do is it will take the $250 total receivable, subtract out the 30-day amount overdue, and then subtract out the 60-day overdue amount. And so even if it's 0, we can still use that same formula so that we can copy and paste it all the way down. So again, I tapped on the cell that I want the formula, I hit equals, and then I tapped on cell B3, subtract cell D3, and then subtract cell E3. And if I hit enter, you'll see that it creates the formula, or it creates the equation, and I get my result, which is $200. So again, what I'm trying to do here is come up with, if I know that I have $250 that's owed from that customer, and 50 of it is overdue 30 days, then the current amount that they owe me, it's not overdue, it's just the amount that they owe me right now, is $200. So that's what we're doing. Now, again, as I mentioned, I don't have to go ahead and put equals and tap on everything over and over again. All I would have to do now is if I click on that cell, it asks, again, it gives you this menu. What do you want to do? Well, I want to copy and I want to paste it to the other cells that are going downward. So I'm going to click copy. And then if I click on the next cell down, I can put paste, and boom, there's the same exact formula that I used in cell C3, now appearing in cell C4, right? So I'm just moving it down. And what you'll notice is when you copy and paste formulas like this, it sort of moves down the Excel table with you. So I was in cell C3, and then when I copied and pasted, it went down to cell B or C4, and if you look up in the formula bar, look up here where I'm tapping right now, up in the formula bar, it moves the formula down with you. So you don't have to tell Excel, okay, I don't want you to be looking at the row 3 anymore. I want you to be looking at row 4 with this information, with this formula. Excel assumes that already. I'm going to hit return to get out of that. So again, what I'm doing is I click on the cell, I want to copy, and an even quicker way to do this, if I want to copy it all the way down through row 12 so that I have all the customers, I can take that little green dot that's in the bottom right hand corner and I can tap on it and hold it down and pull it all the way down. And again, Excel is asking me, what do you want to do? I want to paste that same formula in every single one of those cells. So I'm going to click, or I'm going to tap paste. And boom, there it is. For every single customer, I now know what their current amount is. So again, we're figuring out how to use formulas, and now we're learning how to also copy and paste so that we don't have to recreate that formula every single time that we want to use it. So the last thing that I want to do is now create a summation formula for this current amount column. So what we did in the last video is we created a total for the total receivables. So we are adding up all the customer receivables from customer 1 through customer 10. And then we did the same thing for overdue 30 days and overdue 60 days. So now I want to do the same thing for the current amount column that we added. So up in the right hand corner, there's that little sigma sign. I'm going to tap on that sigma sign, and it's asking me again, what do you want? What does Excel want to do? I want the sum. And Excel automatically, again, as we did in video 2, automatically tries to guess what do you want it to add together. And in this case, it's right. I want it to add together the entire column of data, starting with cell C3 and going all the way down to cell C12. If I hit enter, there again is the total summation for my newly created column. And as you can also see, when you use these formulas, the currency formatting also carried over. So since we were using currency formatting in columns B, D, and E, that same formatting, again, Excel makes some assumptions sometimes and says, okay, I think that this is what you would want me to do. And if it's not, you can go ahead and change it. But in this case, it is what we want it to do. We want it to continue on with that currency format. So that's what we did. Okay, so now we have an expanded table, and not only are we going to learn in this video how to add a column, but we're also going to learn how to add a row. So we're going to assume that our customer receivables, we have a new customer. So we want to add customer number 11 to our table. The way that we're going to do that is very similar to the way that we did it for the column. I want to click on the row that basically right now what I want to do is add a new row between rows 12 and 13. So what I need to do is tap on row 13. You want to tap on the row that upon which you want to add a new row. So if I want it to be above row 13, that's where I need to tap onto row 13. So again, I tapped on that row 13. Excel asks, what do you want to do? I want to, again, insert. So this is the same sort of process that we went through for adding the column. I want to insert. And look what happens. I now have a new blank row where I'm going to enter some data for our new customer number 11. So what we're going to assume is that customer number 11 has a total receivable amount of 500, that they have a overdue 30-day amount of 100, and that they have an overdue 60-day amount of 0. So I enter that information, and then again, I want to use the formula that I created for the other cells in this column to create that current amount. So I want to be able to take the total receivable, subtract out the overdue 30 days, subtract out the overdue 60-day amount to come up with my current amount. So since I already input that formula into this table, all I'm going to do is tap on that cell. I'm going to copy that formula, and I'm going to show Excel again, where do I want it to paste it? Right there in cell C13, paste. And again, there's the same formula that I'm using in the rest of the column for that current amount. So you can see also again, Excel made the assumption, given that the rest of the table is in a currency format, Excel made that same assumption. It said, do you want this to be in currency format? And again, if you wanted to change it, you could. When Excel makes those assumptions and you don't, that's really not what you wanted to do. But in this case, that is what we want. We want that row 11, that new customer information. We want it to be in currency format the same way. So the last thing that we're going to do now that we've added these columns and these rows is we want to check and make sure that our total figures are accurate, right? Because sometimes when we add a row to a data set, Excel doesn't automatically update the formula that we use to add the total amount together. So what you'll see is if I click on cell B14 in the total, if I double tap, I keep saying click, tap. If I double tap on that, it highlights what exactly is being added together. And notice, Excel did not automatically update this formula for me. It was input as adding up cells B3 through B12, and Excel did not make any adjustments to that formula when we added the new row for customer number 11. So this is one thing that we have to be aware of, is that when we add information into our table here, we want to make sure that those totals at the very bottom of our table are still accurately reflecting the entirety of the data set now that we've added some new data into it. So again, I'm going to exit out of that because I want to show you what I did again. I double tap on that B14 cell, and Excel shows me exactly what's being added together. And what I could do is one of two things. I could either go into the formula bar at the top of the screen, and I can make it so that it extends out to cell B13 instead of B12 simply by typing it in. But the easier way is to, again, just take that little blue dot that's in the bottom right-hand corner of the highlighted box, tap on it, hold it down, and bring it down to that cell B13. So now you can see the entire column is highlighted, and now cell B13 is also part of the formula that's in that total amount for column B. So once I do that, I hit enter, and now notice it used to be $4,010 in total receivables. Now we can see that customer number 11 has been added into our total receivable amount, so that the total amount went up by $500. And again, I want to do that for every single column of information, but since I've already done it in the total receivable column, in column B, I can go ahead and tap on that column, hit copy, and then paste it across. Again, I'm tapping on cell C14, and I'm tapping on the little green dot in the bottom right and extending it all the way over and telling Excel this is where I want to paste that formula. And what it's doing then is pasting the same exact formula across all of those columns. So if I tap on paste, there we go. It updated every single column so that now they all include that additional row of data that we included for customer number 11. So again, these are just things to be aware of as you manipulate these tables of data, is that you always want to make sure that you go back and you check out the total columns, because sometimes when you adjust the data, it can adjust the columns. So the last thing that I'm going to do actually is I'm going to save a copy of this. So I want to save a copy as an updated template. So I have Excel module template, and I'm going to say copy to, simply because I want to make sure that I'm using the updated version as I go along with these videos. I also am going to select where I want to save it. So I have a specific folder in my OneDrive where I'm saving all of these Excel modules tables. I'm going to go ahead and save to that. And that way now I have this updated table of data where I can go back to for the upcoming video. So again, in the upcoming videos, we're just going to continue learning about a little bit more advanced functions with Excel. But again, you know, we stick to the fact that this is very basic in nature, that we're not getting into too much in terms of expanded formulas and pivot tables and using graphs and that kind of stuff. Very, very basic things that you can use in your financial accounting classes.